Not my wife, but my sister comes first. For a couple, their wedding is meant to be an unforgettable occasion. Harrison and I were supposed to handle the wedding cake cutting ceremony, which is frequently referred to be the couple's first collaborative activity. Harrison, though, shoved me aside at that very time and said, "Here, hold the knife." Really, wait? Hooray! The cake-cutting ceremony that was meant to be ours. Rather, Harrison and May were joyfully completing the assignment in front of me. Harrison loved me. I knew that, but there are certain things that are okay and some that aren't. Up until now, I've tolerated it, but this is the last straw. The wedding is called off, and I don't care if others think I'm being conceited anymore. I insisted on calling off the wedding. My name is Lauren Adams, and I am a single 27-year-old. I work at a design firm and reside with my parents. With the help of my devoted parents and colleagues, I'm glad to have a really calm life. Harrison Collins was my husband. Yes, I did have a husband. I first got to know Harrison in high school. I had no idea what I would do if I didn't make even one friend when I was about to embark on a new life. I had trouble falling asleep on certain nights before my first day of high school. I was really determined to go to school on the first day. I was anxious at first, but as soon as I sat down in the classroom, the anxiety seemed to go. Taking a big breath, I looked around the room, thinking maybe this would go better than I had anticipated. This thought made me feel even better. I returned home from school with excited thoughts about my time in high school. Which club ought I to join? Which classes should I enroll in as electives? There were a ton of exciting things that come with starting a new school year. In a month, I joined a club and was able to make friends. I appeared to be able to stay up with my coursework. During one day in my routine high school life, I made a friend who was a boy. Harrison was that boy. Harrison and I had the same class and club, so we were aware of one another, but we had never had a real conversation. But one day we discovered that we were the only two of us. Harrison was there when I made my way to the school gate to wait for my mother to come get me. I was alone in this place, listening only to the sound of the trees swinging in the breeze. I was going to pull out my phone when I realized how strange this felt. Well, what's the first period tomorrow again? I asked myself. The quiet was broken by Harrison's voice. What was that? Arithmetic. Yes, math is correct. Many thanks. Harrison's conversation with me startled me, but it didn't bother me in the slightest. To be honest, I didn't know if this was my chance to become closer to him. Do you do math well? Not really. In all honesty, I'm not very good at studying. Really? That caught me off guard. I was forced to admit that I found it shocking, despite the fact that I didn't know anything about Harrison. Astonishing? I apologize. You simply seemed like someone who could excel in academics, in my opinion. How absurd is that? I get the impression that I'm a serious person, don't you? You know, you seem like you'd be good at studying. Do I really? Harrison chuckled at what I said. That made me really happy for some reason. We became closer as a result of this chat. We became closer during club activities and began conversing more in class. Harrison struggled with studying, so I even started lending him a hand after school and during breaks. Harrison was actually worse at studying than I had thought, but it was still satisfying to teach him because he comprehended the material when I broke it down step by step. I even began to look forward to our study sessions. As a result, we were frequently mocked by our classmates and club members. Harrison would protest, but his face would flush a little, giving off the impression that he was ashamed. Surprisingly, I wasn't bothered by it either. After a year, We moved up to the high school sophomore class. Harrison told me, "I've liked you for a long time." As the new school year began and things started to calm down with both studies and club activities, I was thrilled to hear his remarks, and I also came to the realization that I had liked him all along. "I have also enjoyed you." When Harrison heard my answer, he appeared relieved. With a backbend in his seat, he mumbled, "Thank goodness." We then began dating. In the future, what kind of landscapes would we get to witness together? I just wanted to hope that we could be together forever without worrying about how long we would be together. It was only natural for our connection to grow closer after that. Along with talking in class and attending club events together, we also began traveling to and from school in pairs. We started going on dates and even visiting one another's houses on the weekends. Harrison lived in an opulent single-family home. Regardless of how often I went, I was always anxious because it was my boyfriend's residence. Harrison would say, "You don't have to be so nervous." He would laugh. It had been 6 months since Harrison and I first dated. One day, we went to his house after our regular date ended. There was a girl I didn't recognize when we entered the living room, but I soon recognized her identity. She was his sister. Although Harrison had previously mentioned having a sister, I had never really met her before. "May, are you not spending today with your friends?" "Big brother?" "No, they're all occupied." Harrison named the girl May, and she rushed herself into his arms, beaming with happiness. He laughed as he saw her. It was comforting to witness such a close-knit sibling relationship while I was watching them. May looked at me then. "Who is this? Is she your girlfriend, I wonder?" "Yes, she is, I suppose. It's Lauren here." He got scarlet when he introduced me as his girlfriend, presumably out of embarrassment. When May heard my name, she smiled just as happily as when she hugged Harrison and started to introduce herself. "I'm May, a sister." "Nice to meet you, May." "Thank you. It's nice to meet you too." While May and I were talking, Harrison watched us with gentle eyes. Afterward, Harrison and I went out to his room. "May is really cute, right? She is so adorable and hardworking. I'm so proud of her." Harrison leaned forward and started passionately talking about me. May was 3 years younger than us. She was cute, diligent, and, unlike him, a good student. Most of the time, she spent her afternoons and weekends in club activities or hanging out with her friends. So it seemed she was usually not around when I visited Harrison's house. In any case, Harrison and May were very close. That was the impression I got from listening to his enthusiastic praise. "You two really are close." "Yeah, we are." Back then, I didn't feel any discomfort about the dynamic between Harrison and May. I just thought they were an adorably close pair of siblings. But there was one event that happened that stuck with me a little bit. It was about a month after I first met May. I was fiddling with my phone in Harrison's room when there was a knock on the door. "Come in." Responding to Harrison's voice, May walked in. In her hands, she was carrying a tray. I brought juice and snacks. She placed glasses of apple juice in front of us and then sat down herself. "Thank you." "No problem. Drink up." On the day we first met, as I was leaving, I had some time to chat with May, which brought us closer. We decided to drop the formalities and speak to each other more like friends. May was very friendly and easy to get along with. Just as I enjoyed talking with May, I hoped she also found it fun to talk with me. As the three of us chatted about random things, I suddenly realized that an hour had flown by, and I wasn't the only one who noticed it. "What? It's already this late." Wow, we really have been talking for a while. Harrison and May looked at each other and laughed. The next moment, Harrison pulled May close and wrapped her in his arms. I knew they were close siblings, and I was aware they often showed physical affection, but this time I was taken aback. The way they interacted didn't seem like just the usual sibling bond. It looked more like something between a couple. May. Hey, Harrison, stop it. That tickles. Harrison buried his face in May's neck. Though she told him to stop because it tickled, her tone didn't sound like she was annoyed. In fact, it sounded more like she was happy. I couldn't help but ask, "Wow, you two are really close." Right after asking, I felt a little regret, wondering if I had overstepped, but neither of them seemed bothered. In fact, they looked happy that I had called them close. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but feel a sense of discomfort. Is this normal for siblings to be this close? Being an only child, I didn't know what a typical sibling relationship was like. So all I could do was quietly watch as they continued their displays of affection. Even after that, the dynamic between Harrison and May didn't change. I found myself witnessing more moments of them being physically close as we continued living this way. Before I knew it, the time came for Harrison and me to head off to college. We hadn't planned it or discussed it, but we ended up going to the same university, though in different departments. We both started living on our own, which meant we spent even more time together. On weekends, we'd go out on dates, but most of the time, we'd stay at one of our places, doing homework or watching movies. Since starting college, I hadn't seen May. Have you seen May lately? Is she doing well? Sometimes I'd bring up May in our conversations, genuinely curious about how she was doing. Without fail, Harrison would always eagerly start talking about her. You know, May has been getting even cuter lately. I mean, she was always cute, but now she's even cuter. Oh, right. Look at this. Here, this is a recent photo of May. She's just so adorable. Harrison would pull out his phone and show me a picture of May. She's so cute, right? And when I commented on how cute she was, he'd show me countless more photos from his phone's gallery. May was undeniably cute, but something about it always nagged at me. The way Harrison treated May and me was just too different. I knew Harrison adored May, and it made sense that he spoke kindly about her. However, when it came to me, his girlfriend, he was quite reserved. I had never been complimented as much as May, or even called cute by him. I understood that his feelings for his sister and for me were different, and I could see that from his usual behavior. But as his girlfriend, I couldn't help but wish he'd compliment me a bit more. Honestly, if you asked me if I was jealous, I couldn't deny it. That's how much I questioned the nature of Harrison and May's relationship. Of course, I couldn't voice my concerns to Harrison, so all I could do was quietly listen to him talk about her. About half a year had passed since we started college. One day, as usual, I went over to Harrison's place. Hello? Whose shoes are these? Oh, May's here today. Wow, May's here. Up until now, May had never been home when I visited. Confused, I followed Harrison into the living room, where May was lying on the sofa, playing with her phone. Next to her was a branded bag that seemed quite pricey for her age. Around her neck and ears were accessories with brand logos that also seemed too luxurious for someone her age. Oh, Lauren, long time no see. Hey, long time no see. Wait, didn't Harrison tell you I was coming over? No, I thought it'd be a fun surprise. You know, since you like May, I thought you'd be shocked to find her here without any heads up, Harrison said proudly, while May beamed with joy. Really, Lauren? Yeah, I was surprised, but it's nice. May, who had gotten up to talk to me, sank back into the sofa again. Normally, Harrison would sit next to me, but this time, he sat close to her. I ended up sitting alone on the carpet. Harrison, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks is a while. Then how often do they usually meet? I watched them holding hands like a couple, sharing their affectionate moment. Even after that, the two of them continued to immerse themselves in their own world, not paying much attention to me. We had planned to watch a movie together today, just the two of us, but it didn't seem possible now. I didn't want to interfere with Harrison and May, so I quietly worked on my college assignments. Before I knew it, 2 hours had passed since I arrived. I was nearly done with my work. As always, they were completely absorbed in their own world. I could hear them showing physical affection and chatting about trivial things. You two really are close, huh? I said with a hint of sarcasm, but it went right over their heads. Right? Yeah, we're super close. They got even more excited and exchanged glances. I regretted saying anything, realizing that I needed to be more direct. A few days later, during some alone time with Harrison, I decided to express my feelings. Hey, about May. May, do you want to see her again? If that's the case. No, it's just, I think it's great that you two are so close, but maybe you could spend a little more time with me. Harrison widened his eyes in surprise at my words, but quickly laughed it off like he usually did. What? Are you jealous? It's not exactly jealousy, but May and I are just siblings, you know. We're not doing anything weird. You shouldn't let it bother you. Harrison brushed off my concerns as if they were nothing, laughing as if it was all a joke. Despite this conversation, his overly close interactions with May continued. It became normal for her to be around when Harrison and I were together. Even though I was right there, they'd still drift into their own world, showing each other affection. I don't mind you being close with May, but could you maybe do that when I'm not around? Even when I said this, Harrison didn't listen at all. Oh, come on. Is it that big of a deal? Like I said before, May and I are siblings. It's just how we are. You're being dramatic. Harrison didn't take my words seriously, laughing at me like I was overreacting. Honestly, I often thought about breaking up with him, but I never went through with it. The main reason was that I didn't have the energy or desire to start a new relationship from scratch. If I had ended things the moment I felt something was off, it wouldn't have turned into such a big issue. Looking back now, I feel frustrated with my past self. As time passed, we graduated from college and entered the workforce. There were many things I felt about Harrison, but my feelings for him hadn't changed. Also, since we became working adults, it seemed like Harrison and May's interactions had lessened. Did he finally realize how much it bothered me? Or was he just too busy with work? I didn't know what he truly felt, but I chose to believe it was because he understood my feelings. I started to think that he finally got it. Then, 5 years after we started working, Harrison proposed to me. I promise I'll make you happy. Harrison looked at me with a serious expression and shared his feelings. Now that I think about it, my actions were strange. But back then, I still loved Harrison. Yes, we'll both support each other. I accepted Harrison's proposal. We decided to build a happy life together. After that, we registered our marriage, rented a small apartment, and started our new life together. However, with this change, Harrison resumed his interactions with May. More often than not, I would come home to find May there, turning what was supposed to be a life for just the two of us into one shared with her. "Lauren, what's for dinner tonight?" "Wait, are you eating with us again?" "Of course. I've been eating here every day lately." May, acting like it was the most natural thing, joined us at the table. Honestly, it didn't make me feel great. Naturally, I couldn't directly ask May to stop coming over, so I turned to Harrison for help. But his response was always the same. "Well, it's only until our wedding. Just bear with it until then." Apparently, Harrison wanted me to allow his interactions with May until the wedding was over. I could accept that, but given everything that had happened up to now, I couldn't just believe it. In reality, Harrison and May's behavior was outrageous. Harrison would cancel our dates to go out with May without hesitation. He continued to spoil her, buying her branded accessories and cosmetics. May didn't seem to mind at all, but this was just something to endure until the wedding was over. I couldn't fully trust him, but still, I wanted to believe in him. However, one day, something happened that pushed me beyond my limits. It happened during our wedding. We had spent so much time planning it, making sure it was something we both were happy with. I had been really looking forward to it. Harrison also seemed to be looking forward to the wedding a lot. A lot had happened, but Harrison did love me. That's why we were together now. Thinking about that made my heart fill with joy. The ceremony went off without a hitch, and the reception began. As the reception proceeded under the MC's guidance, it was time for the cake cutting. We were handed the knife by the staff and began walking toward the wedding cake. But at that moment, Harrison pushed me aside and called me. "Over here. Hold the knife." "Wait, really?" "Yay." May was surprised at first, but quickly understood the situation and ran over. The cake cutting that Harrison and I were supposed to do together, but there in front of me were Harrison and May, working together with happy faces. "Wait. Hold on." As I hesitantly spoke up, Harrison said something shocking with a laugh. "My sister takes priority over my wife." I knew that Harrison was obsessed with May, but still, didn't he understand there are things you just shouldn't do? The moment I heard those words, something inside me shattered. I had put up with it all this time, but this was my breaking point. I didn't care if people thought I was being selfish anymore. "The wedding is off." I demanded the cancellation of the wedding. A voice filled with confusion rose up, but I didn't pay it any mind. I asked the venue staff to arrange for the guests to leave immediately. As the guests were leaving, I apologized to each one of them. I felt terribly guilty for making these people who had taken the time to attend leave like this. When I realized it, I saw that my relatives, except for Harrison and May, were standing beside me, bowing their heads. With the guests gone, only the relatives and a few staff members remained in the venue. The room was filled with an indescribable tension. Some people appeared confused, while others seemed visibly angry. However, it was my dad who broke the silence. "What is going on?" "Hey, you. What kind of nonsense was that?" Well, nothing." "Why did you call your sister up there? Don't you understand how inappropriate that was? Can't you even imagine how Lauren felt watching that scene?" "Exactly. The wedding was supposed to be about you and Lauren. Don't you know there are things you just can't do?" That was just the worst. Harrison was scolded harshly by my parents and fell silent. Next to him, May looked down, clearly feeling uncomfortable. However, my mother-in-law quickly spoke up. "Hey, you two, don't just stand there." Say something. You ruined the wedding, and now you're just going to stay quiet. Don't you realize how messed up this was? Sorry. We're sorry. Harrison and May muttered their apologies, but they didn't look genuinely remorseful. In fact, May looked like she wanted to say she didn't do anything wrong. What exactly are you sorry for? What are you apologizing for? You need to make that clear. I usually make an effort not to raise my voice. Seeing me visibly angry must have shocked them. But there was no way I could calm down. If anything, after everything I'd put up with, this was the least I deserved. Come on, speak up. Don't you get it? I'm sorry for calling me up there. Up there? Where exactly? Be specific. At the cake cutting. Harrison answered in a muttered voice, looking down. He apologized, but of course, I had no intention of forgiving him. Hey, May, don't you have anything to say? Why did you go up there? Well, because I was called. But am I really at fault? Sure, it started with Harrison, but you going up there is on you. Don't you get? May fell completely silent after hearing my father-in-law's words, sulking. It was clear that expecting anything more from her was pointless. Didn't you realize how low it is to pull something like this at a wedding? I knew you two were close, but I thought you'd at least show some restraint at the wedding. But I thought this would be my last chance to make May happy. What? That's why you did that? Isn't that incredibly selfish? You know what? Marrying you was a mistake. Let's get a divorce. Marrying Harrison was a mistake. That was my honest feeling. I decided that talking with Harrison here wouldn't get us anywhere, so I started getting ready to leave. Some people were shocked by the word divorce, but no one tried to stop me. They must have understood after seeing Harrison's actions. I apologized to the staff and everyone involved and headed to the dressing room. Then, I packed my things, got into my dad's car, and went back to my parents' house. I couldn't stay married to Harrison any longer. After seeing his actions, I was certain of that. While packing my things at home, and even after arriving at my parents' house, Harrison came after me, begging to reconcile. I couldn't imagine anyone at the wedding urging him to chase after me. He must have forced his way here, ignoring his relatives' attempts to stop him. Come on, don't talk about divorce, please. We just got married. I'm begging you. Can't you reconsider? I can't reconsider. It's over. So suddenly. Don't you remember how many times I've asked you to stop doing things like this? It was always about me. I really don't get it. Harrison seemed like he had more to say, his mouth moving as if searching for words. But I wasn't about to wait for him to explain himself. Just go. I'll contact you about what happens next. Hey, if you come back here without my permission, I'll call the police. Got it? Now get out. I forcibly pushed Harrison out and shut the door. What do I need to do next? As the exhaustion set in, the more I thought about it, the more my head hurt. But I wasn't alone. I had my parents. I figured it was okay to rely on them, at least in a situation like this. So I started unpacking. 2 weeks later, I called Harrison and May over to my parents' house. Harrison looked smaller than the last time I'd seen him. In contrast, May was still sulking, her expression unchanged. I'm truly sorry. The moment Harrison entered the living room, he apologized to me and my parents. He seemed remorseful, but I couldn't tell if it was genuine. It's good that you can apologize, but I'm not forgiving you. Now sit down. Okay. When I gestured for them to sit, they reluctantly took a seat on the sofa. I said this before, but I want a divorce. I won't ask for any money from you, but I do want you to pay the cancellation fee for the wedding. What? Why? Hearing his words made it clear he wasn't genuinely sorry. Why do I have to explain everything from the beginning? But you're the one who told them to cancel the wedding. Don't you get that? It started with you. If you hadn't pulled that stunt, we wouldn't be here. I told you this before. If you truly understood, you should at least agree to cover the cancellation fee. I understand that. But still, Harrison looked like he hadn't expected me to bring up money at all. Judging by his reaction, it wouldn't have been surprising if he thought I would pay the cancellation fee myself. But what if you can justify this situation? You got some nerve. I know I was wrong, but isn't it a bit much to expect me to pay the whole cancellation fee? I mean, even if it was my fault, shouldn't we at least split it? Can you really say that after admitting you were at fault? If I had done the same to you, what would you have done? You'd probably expect me to cover the entire cancellation fee, wouldn't you? How many times did I ask you to reconsider your relationship with May? This situation is a result of you going too far, isn't that right? Anger boiled inside me, and I let it all out. If I didn't do this, Harrison would never change his mind. It's not about the money. If you were truly remorseful, you'd be able to handle this much. It's about the principle. If you think I'm being greedy, then you're not really sorry. At that moment, my dad, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. Harrison, I hear you've been buying your sister expensive bags and accessories. Why is it that you can spend money on her but not on Lauren? Sure, you could argue it's a different matter, but it seems pretty convenient for you. If you love me so much, maybe you should have just married her. No matter how many times I said I wanted time alone with you, you never listened. You always said it couldn't be helped because she's your sister. Things got better for a while, but after we got married, it went back to the way it was. You kept saying I just needed to hang in there until the wedding was over. You even canceled our plans together. Now you're okay with the divorce, but you're throwing a tantrum over the cancellation fee. How funny. It's strange that he wouldn't object to ending our marriage, but would object to paying the cancellation fee. Whether my words and my debts finally reached him, or if he just wanted to end the conversation, Harrison slumped and spoke. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll pay, and I'll agree to the divorce. So you finally get it after all this. Now sign the divorce papers. I've also prepared documents about the cancellation fee. Since money is involved, sign that as well. Reluctantly, Harrison signed the divorce papers and the documents regarding the cancellation fee. As usual, May sat beside him, sulking and picking at her nails. If you ask why I called May here today, honestly, I don't have a reason. But since she was involved in the whole mess, I thought maybe I'd get her to say something. May, don't you have anything to say? What? You want me to apologize? I don't get it. That's not exactly what I meant. The expression on her face wasn't the sweet and innocent look I once knew. Besides, in the next moment, May revealed an unexpected truth. This whole thing is a bother to me, and just so you know, I don't even like Harrison. What? May, who had always been so attached to Harrison, actually didn't like him. Everyone in the room was shocked, but the one most surprised was Harrison himself. What? He's honestly gross. It was fine when we were kids, but by the time I was in high school, it got really cringy. Then why did you always act like that? In response to Harrison's question, May dropped another bombshell. Because he gave me money. What? Not just that. He gave me money whenever I pretended to be a sweet, affectionate sister. He'd buy me anything I wanted. Once, I even asked for something I thought he'd never buy, but he got it for me without a second thought. I was totally creeped out. Like, wow, does he like me that much? It seemed May had quite a few thoughts about Harrison. She went on, airing her grievances about him without stopping. I hated everything about you, from asking me to go out with you to always clinging to me. It was all so annoying and gross. You should really act your age, you know. And having a wife, but acting the same as before, that's seriously messed up. Oh wait, you had a wife. I guess had is more accurate since you're getting divorced. Now then, why were you always so clingy with me? I told you, because you'd buy me whatever I wanted. Did you seriously think I actually liked you? You even tried to make me happy with that cake thing at my wedding. But honestly, it was a total nuisance. Now everyone thinks I'm at fault too. Could you stop dragging me into your self-serving acts? I no longer wanted an apology from May. Her words were too shocking. Wait, are you serious? You think I'm lying? At this point, get real. May's laughter echoed through the house. When I looked at Harrison, he was crushed by despair. The shock left an indescribable silence in the room, and no one could find the words to speak. However, my mom broke the silence. It's clear you might have disliked Harrison, but let me ask you, was there ever a time when he forced you to do something? What are you talking about? It's obvious you were using him for money, but still, you should know your place a bit. That includes the wedding. Yes, it's true Harrison called you up there, but you had the choice not to go. You decided to put your desires first. Harrison was definitely the most out of line, but you were pretty out of line too, weren't you? May scowled in frustration. Are you lecturing me? Do you have any idea how angry it makes me to see my daughter's wedding ruined and then see you act like you did nothing wrong? Clearly, you don't. What did you just say, you old hag? I've been listening to your crap for too long. May lost her temper, yelling at my mom, but my mom wasn't about to back down. May's behavior could be seen as nothing but a tantrum. After everything that happened, acting like she was blameless was just too much. Then Harrison spoke up. May, please stop. What? I was wrong. No, we were wrong. Why am I included in this? I bet he didn't want to lecture her either, but after hearing what May said, maybe he realized he couldn't keep spoiling her forever. Lauren, can May and I pay for the cancellation fee? What? Of course. It's not because I want to lessen my own burden. If you want, I'll cover it all myself. But like your mom said, both May and I are at fault for what happened at the wedding. We need to take responsibility. Hey, don't decide that without asking me. Harrison stopped May, who was starting to protest. His eyes were no longer those of a brother who idolized his sister. May, it's time to grow up. Not that I'm one to talk, but if Lauren and her parents are okay with it, I think it's what we should do. Listening to what you said, I realize I've spoiled you way too much. Does it really take things getting this bad for you to see the truth? I'm truly sorry. Fine, that'll work. May's face twisted in anger. This is the worst. There's no way I'm paying. How long are you going to keep this up? I'm telling Dad and the rest of the family about everything that happened today, including how you talked back to Mom. The decision is final, so you better start accepting it. Seriously, what is this? Until the very end, May kept throwing a tantrum. However, as the conversation went on, she seemed to realize that no matter how much she argued, things wouldn't go her way. By the time the discussion ended, she had finally quieted down. After that, my divorce from Harrison was finalized. As discussed, Harrison and May covered the cancellation fee for the wedding. Harrison told me that after our talk, May cut off all contact with him. In the end, Harrison lost everything: his wife, his money, and the sister he once idolized. And so this ordeal came to a close. Following the divorce, Harrison started to message me more, possibly because he felt let down by May. Its contents ranged from life updates to appeals for peace. However, his pathetic attempts at this point made little difference to how I felt. He ultimately quit trying, and the texts stopped coming after I ignored him. After a year, I've moved home with my parents and am concentrating on my career. It has brought me tremendous comfort that my colleagues, whom I had invited to my wedding, have remained the same despite everything that has happened. Even though I'd wish to forget that horrible experience completely, I know it was so shocking that it will always be a part of me. I do regret a few things. If only I had been less foolish and more watchful. What's done is done, though. Right now, all I can do is keep moving forward and look forward. I want to live my life from this point forward without any regrets. And as always, I'm thankful for the support of everyone around me.